Canadian government has lost its mind. They said renters matter. Well, they're actually coming up with the new legislation that is made to protect tenants, to make rent more affordable, housing more affordable, and they have just announced a couple of new things that are going to make that happen. But will it actually happen? So they're coming up with the Renters Bill of Rights, which is going to bite back into the butthole of every tenant, every renter. They just don't know about it yet. Guys, I want to say that, I want to start off this video, that is something extremely populistic that the government of Canada, Justin Trudeau has just announced. I'm not saying anything against liberals or conservatives. I just want to comment on the fact what is happening and what a lot of people, and unfortunately a lot of Canadians are not going to pick up on in this video. It actually might be as bad of a thing. It might be worse than people are expecting. It sounds great for the voters, and I guess majority of the voters are tenants. Majority of the people are renting, so you get more votes from something populistic like that. But what was said during that speech actually started to make me wonder if tenants are actually going to be ever able to own, not only own, but will they ever be able to rent after this? Because once they implement this, it's going to be pretty horrific for some tenants. Let me guys explain this to you. So, first of all, they are saying that they are going to be making a legislation, nationwide legislation for tenancy. Okay, great. They're going to create more advocacy for tenants. That is also great. I'm not against it. I want to say, guys, I want to bring this to your attention that there is something happening in Toronto where tenants are blackmailing their landlords, especially in Ontario, cash for keys, and taking full advantage of the landlord and the backlogs of the residential tenancy or court boards. So they're taking full advantage of that fact that they cannot get evicted, and they might not be paying rent, and there is horrible stories going around. But here's what's going to happen to in this situation. So what the new thing is that they're trying to introduce is supposedly going to make the housing more affordable as well, rent contributing towards your credit score. Guys, I want to say, I have now, I think about 3 credit cards, and I'm trying and I'm doing my best to never miss a payment, to make sure that my credit score is excellent. Now, it's a common thing. You can make a mistake. Sometimes, guys, sometimes as a tenant, hear me out. As a tenant, now it's great. I mean, that it's contributing towards your credit score, but I mean, anyone in Canada can get a credit card. You literally walk into a superstore and there's someone there asking you, do you want to sign up for PC Optimum? You go into Walmart and there's a Walmart MasterCard on a checkout. Everyone is harassing you to get a credit card, and that does help, right, to build your credit score. But now it's going to be this situation. Let's say, guys, I mean, it doesn't change absolutely nothing. But now people would have to worry about one more bill not to miss on, and that is rent. So, for example, let's say you have a good relationship, you're a great tenant, and you have a great relation with your landlord, and well, something happened, you didn't get paid, or there's some kind of delay, home emergency, whatever might have happened. You call up your landlords and say, hey, I'm going to make sure I pay you everything. Just give me a couple of more days, please, because something happened within the family or whatnot. Like, I'm going to pay up. Don't worry about me. And yeah, is that fine? And almost nice landlord would be saying, yeah, you know what? Yeah, these things happen. I do understand, and you've been a great tenant for all these years. It's fine. Go ahead. Now, if that happens, you just missed a payment on time. Makes you an unreliable person in the eyes of the banks. So your credit score just got dinged. It went down. Why? Because you missed by a certain amount of time on your rent. Now, guys, look at this way. Like, this is ridiculous. It's coming to a point where you are literally dinged for every mistake in your life. If you miss your rent, your credit score goes down. If you miss a credit card payment, your credit score goes down. And you could have had a credit card anyways. Like, you can get, if you want to build a credit score, you buy a car, have car payments, same thing. I feel that the government of Canada is just trying to monitor everything. I think this Bill of Rights is actually made to track how many landlords are out there and probably to charge more taxes. It's all about tracking and observation and making sure that every Canadian is surveilled by government of Canada, and they can tax you for every single thing, for every single penny that you are making, to make sure that nothing goes untaxed in Canada. Like, I feel like we're becoming a surveillance state at this point. Would it make housing more affordable? No, it would not. There's other legislation coming up. I'll cover in the next video. Government of Canada, like, literally losing its mind, and yeah, a lot of people are just never going to be able to buy a house. I'll cover it in the right next video, so make sure you subscribe and comment on this channel. Share this video with your friends. Now, the next thing that they're planning to make about this entire thing is, well, advocacy, certain legislation, and, well, the landlords are going to be there. I'll tell you more about housing affordability, what actually matters, in a moment. So the landlords would have to provide you a list of apartments, like Justin Trudeau said, so that you can negotiate a better price. Guys, I am a salesperson by occupation right now, and I work with the XP Realty as a realtor, and I participate on a daily basis in negotiations and things like that. And let me tell you how this negotiation is going to go up. Okay, let's say I'm a landlord and you're a tenant. Let's say you ask me to provide you, just let's role play a little bit. So you're like, hey Igor, send me the comparables. I send you the comparables, and you're like, well, I want a lesser price. And I'm gonna be like, hey guys, there's 10 other people willing to pay more. You don't like it? Move on. There is 10 other people who are willing to pay that price. So that's all, the end of the negotiations. As long as there is more demand and there is less supply, you can negotiate as much as you want, but with some other landlord. So I'm just saying, guys, that's how it's going to end up. It's going to be like they're just going to push you over, and you would go with all negotiation skills and your comparables and the market rents and things like that, and go negotiate elsewhere with some other landlord. So whatever was said, it's nonsense. It's not going to help anyone. Literally, the only way to solve this problem is to create more housing. So there is more houses available, then there are people willing to rent. That's the only way where the rent is going to go down. And also interest rates, which are really high, and landlords have to pay all those mortgages. And guys, I'm actually really disgusted by what is happening in Canada. I see a lot of fighting between landlords and tenants, Canadians, Canadians who have, let's say, taken the responsibility of taking a mortgage, and tenants who have not, for whatever reason. It can be income, it could be other things, it could be anything. But someone is almost trying to divide us Canadians into separate categories. It sounds like, guys, I don't want to say this, but it sounds really communistic right now, because some people are like, hey, landlords should be screwed, tenants should be benefiting. It's like, the concept of communism is actually when you punish the more successful person and you reward the person who is less successful. That's basically, guys, how communism was. I was born in communist country. I left communist country. You know why? You know what they did there? They assigned housing based on how many family members you have. So all the housing would belong to the state, and then based on how many family members you have, the government would produce enough housing and they would assign you. So if your family is, is too big for a 2-bedroom condo, they would give you a 3-bedroom condo, or they would assign, depending on how many members you have, is how much square foot you would get. So I strongly advise against moving to that direction, because it was a disaster, and you see what's happening in Eastern Europe after that. There is still something going on post that amount. And guys, my birth certificate said Soviet Union. I'm from Eastern Europe. I was born before it collapsed, and I don't recommend you bring this nonsense to Canada. Otherwise, I'll have to move to United States. If this comes to Canada, I'm going to live to somewhere where it's not, because I'm strongly against such nonsense idea that do not work. As soon as you start punishing people who are willing to start a business, entrepreneurial, and are working hard, as soon as you start paying a cleaner in a grocery store same amount as a doctor gets, that's how it started. That's how in the communist country where I was from, the medical professionals were getting paid same amount as, let's say, as a garbage truck driver, or let's say somebody who is, road maintenance or a data entry clerk. What's the point of having a PhD and spending 15 years of your education and working harder than other people just to get the same kind of money? And that's why the markets collapsed. Anyways, guys, I want to say, guys, there is another thing that the government of Canada is doing right now, which is ridiculous. And I'll cover it in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Let me know what you think. Would this nonsense just get more votes, or would it actually make the housing more affordable? Let me know what you think. What do you think about having the credit score? Like it is, and in my opinion, guys, you already have enough tools to build a credit score. Literally walk into a TD bank, get yourself a credit card, and don't miss on your payments, and voila, you got a credit score. This is absolutely ridiculous. If you want to have a house more affordable, here's one more thing that you can do. There is a TDS ratio and there is a GDS ratio. Guys, if you want to find out more how it works, contact my wife. She's a mortgage broker with DLC Clear Trust Mortgages. She's licensed in Ontario, Alberta, and she helps people with mortgages everywhere in Canada. But anyways, guys, that's the main thing that, well, helps you get your mortgage, and you can figure out, what's your final approved amount for a mortgage. Contributing your credit history towards from your rent isn't going to buy you a house. It's probably going to buy a landlord's mortgage, pay off their mortgage or whatever is left out of their mortgage, but it's not helping you. I don't understand why people think it does help, because this is the most ridiculous statement. I'm even surprised how politicians can come up and with the straight faces say that this is something good, when in fact this is as good and as bad for tenants. As if a tenant goes to the tenancy board and you go through the court, through eviction, and you miss payments or something, your credit score gets screwed up. After your credit score is screwed up, as a landlord, let's play a landlord's game. Let's say I'm your landlord. Let's say you're a tenant. Okay, no, you are a landlord. Okay, enough me being a landlord. You're a tenant. And I come and say, hey, I want to rent from you. And you pull my credit. And it got screwed up because of the previous situation that was happening. Maybe it was not even my fault. Maybe it was the landlord's fault. But you're like, your credit sucks, and I'm sorry. I don't want you to be my tenant. Now, not only you cannot buy a house, you cannot rent a house, you're homeless. What do you think? See you next video. All the best.